Hi guys, welcome back to Chess to Matthew. So on this video, let's talk about my game on the Kadas Opening. So the Kadas Opening starts with the move h4. The idea of this move is to have some early kingside expansion, and also it can be used in the future for a kingside assault. So my opponent here plays e6, trying to control the center with his pawn on the d5 square, and here I try to occupy the center and also controlling the center, which is the e5 and e4. So my opponent here plays b6, trying to develop his bishop on a long like square diagonal. So I try to defend first my e4 because it was obvious that he will play bishop b7 attacking my e4 pawn, so that now I can play the move d4, having some fully control on the center with my d pawn and e pawn. But here my opponent tried to pressure my e4 pawn because the only defender of that pawn is my knight on c3, but it was pinned by his bishop, so it is obvious that it cannot perform his duty to defend my e4 pawn. But still here I just play knight f3, trying to develop my pieces, never minding that after bishop takes c3 with a check, and after b takes c3 and b takes e4, and we shall see on this position that he has a material advantage with a pawn up. But here I just develop my pieces, trying to provoke some exchanges. But after a retreat of his bishop on this position, I can say that I have an initiative with my two pieces that has been developed. So I start now to attack with the move knight to g5, attacking his h7 with my bishop and knight. Against the only defender of that pawn is the rook on h8. So on this position, he can also attack or even capture my g2, but I can still just play rook g1, and then after the bishop will retreat, then I can capture the h7 pawn. Here my opponent just play queen to e7, trying to clear his queen side, so that after maybe he will play d6 and knight d7 and he can castle on the queen side. But here I just again castle and defend my g2 pawn. So my opponent here tries to attack my knight on the g5, so that if my knight will retreat to f3, he will capture with the bishop, and after queen takes f3, then there is queen h5 with a threat to mate in the future. But here I just pin down his h6 so that he cannot capture my knight, because if black will capture my knight on g5, then I can also capture his rook on h8. But my opponent here tries now to clear his inside so that he cannot have castle, but there is knight takes f7. He cannot castle now because I have an attack on the d8 square. It prevents now the black to castle, and also I have attack on the rook on h8. We shall see that his rook has no safe square, and even though he will push it on h7, I have bishop on d3. So my opponent here tries to have some king move, but still I can capture his rook on h8. And then now my opponent here plays knight f6, trying to attack my queen, but still I have knight g6, an attack to the king and also to the queen. So that was called fork. So here my opponent plays king g8, but still it allows me to capture his queen. And after the black plays knight takes e7, and now I have a time to retreat my queen, saving my queen with a material advantage on this position. So after my opponent plays knight takes e7, he immediately resigned because he has a huge material loss on this position. So in just 14 moves, I win in the Kadas Opening after h4 against e6 move of black. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and please don't forget to subscribe.